It's a massively important weekend, this, in the MRF Challenge, because it is the final weekend in this effectively winter series, and we have 4 races to look forward to here in Chennai. Welcome to the Irangata Kotai circuit near Sriperumbudur. David Addison and Louise Beckett trackside, and free practice 1 for the MRF 2-litre cars is underway. We come here this weekend with Joey Mawson, having won this year's German F4 Championship, the ADAC F4 Championship, as the championship leader. The Australian ahead of the Brit, Harry Newey, with Mick Schumacher currently 3rd in the championship. And this first session is underway in what is a slightly breezy afternoon, but very hot indeed. And this, a very challenging circuit indeed. They've already been to Bahrain, they've been to Dubai, then they went to the Bud International Circuit in Delhi, and now they have 3.7 kilometres of the Irangata Kotai circuit near Chennai, aka Madras, and we look forward to 4 cracking races. Now they have qualifying tomorrow morning, they've got 2 free practice periods today, at the end of which we'll have an idea really of who the gun drivers are. For many of them, it's a step into the unknown, first time they would have raced here. Others do have some track knowledge. We have 16 cars in total, 2 of which are the development chassis for Narain Karthikeyan and indeed former MRF Challenge champion Toby Sowery. But as you look at number 9, which is the British driver Dan Ticktum, racing in these cars for the first time, he is certainly going to be a man to watch, the ex-Formula Renault driver. And Dan Ticktum now returning to single-seater racing after some time away. Of course, he had his enforced ban after a clash in the MSA Formula at Silverstone going back a couple of seasons, but his rehabilitation is going well. Raced at Macau, raced in the Autumn Trophy, and now having a spell in the MRF Challenge before he steps up to the Formula Renault Euro Cup for next year. Now this is how the championship looks. Joey Mawson ahead of Harrison Newey, and then Mick Schumacher. Felipe Drugovich is 4th ahead of Ralph Aaron, then Pedro Cardosa 6th ahead of Yuri Vitz. Kimi, or Kim Louis Schramm, 8th from Rinus van Kamphout, and Dylan Young rounds out the top 10. Not everybody doing every race in the championship, so 1 or 2 have been coming and going. And as the half-an-hour period is underway, we haven't actually had the clock start counting down for this, but the session is live and everybody out on track, including that 32, which is the Indonesian driver, Presley Martano. He's one of the newcomers for this weekend. So Presley Martano learning about the car, but also having to learn about a whole new circuit. Becomes quite well regarded though, does Martano, having been the Rotax Max Challenge Asia karting champion back in 2011. And the Asian Karting Open champion the same year. He has been quick in CIK FIA karting, and this 2016-2017 season the Formula 4 Southeast Asia champion, 9 times a winner, so somebody with great pedigree. 25 is Mick Schumacher. Now Mick, we know, is quick after 2 seasons in the German F4 Championship, and he's been doing that under a very bright spotlight. Came out of karting, he started that as Mick Betch to try and keep out of the real glare of the spotlight, but when he moved into car racing in 2015, he drove for Fritz van Amersfoort's team in Formula 4, had a win, he was 10th in the championship, did do the MRF Challenge last season, the 15-16 championship, and then this most recent season has been racing both in the the Italian, I should say, as well as the German F4 Championships. He had 5 wins in the German, 2nd in the championship, 4 wins in the Italian. So it's been a very, very impressive season for Schumacher, more experienced driver now, and using hitherto the experience to good effect. He's had a moment working his way through the infield of the circuit. Now somebody else in strife, getting it all wrong, is Chia Wing Hoon, who goes off the road. and recovers, now finding himself in a right old scrum of cars as well, because you've got Dylan Young there, the Australian, tucked up behind. What we're not getting, sadly, in this free practice session is any times, for reasons unknown. So who is doing what remains for the moment a bit of a mystery. But the timing system, hopefully, will be recording the data. So 25, Mick Schumacher across the timing line. The German driver then through. For the moment, the road to himself as he tries to recover from the earlier moment. Right, so Schumacher presses on. Now, how is Joey Lawson doing in 96? Because Joey has been a real thorn in Mick's side of recent years, not just in the MRF Challenge this season, but also in F4 for the last 2 years. And the other one is Harrison Newey as well. Harrison drives number 4. The engineers on the pit wall have a look at their own hand at timing to try and work out who is doing what to which and to whom. Tell that Presley Martano is a late entry because it's a rather handmade pit wall there. Number 9 dodges out of the draft there to try and get track position. Dan Ticktum. It's good to have Dan in this MRF Challenge, and it's a shame that we've not been able to see more of him in the last 12 months, but a very, very talented driver indeed, and pushing on, needs to learn a circuit, needs to learn a car. He can't win the championship, but what he can do, of course, is remind people of his ability. He can keep his hand in. Many of the drivers do this championship because it's a way of staying fresh through the winter. A number of them looking to go into either the FIA Formula 3 European Championship or, in Dan's case, Formula Renault Euro Cup. And one in the wall already. Is that the car of Chia Wing Hoon once again, the Malaysian? It is, I'm afraid, and that's got big damage, and that is coming out of, I fear, the last corner. Yes, it's actually fetched up at the vehicle access gate just before the timing line. So he has spun coming out of the final corner, clattered into the barriers, and the car's going nowhere with broken suspension. The next question is whether or not we're going to get a red flag, because it's, as you'll see, just off the racing line. He loses it coming out of the last corner. Everything locked up, and crunch into the barrier he goes. Damage to the front, damage to the rear as well. Ah, yes, that shot there shows you the left rear wheel and the left rear suspension broken, as well as the front of the car being badly damaged. So we do get a red flag, because that car can't be driven away. The one saving grace is he's actually at the vehicle access gate, so it won't take long to hoik him out of the way. If anything, they might have to move the car to open the gate. So everybody heads down the pit lane. Now, with it being free practice, the clock should carry on ticking, but it never started ticking in the first place. So that's another thickening plot. But in they come, number 44 there, you see, which is Yuri Vips, the Estonian. Former Formula 3 champion, Estonian Marco Asma here as his driver coach, as ever. Now Ticktum heads down the pit road, and now a chance for drivers to make any adjustments without losing lap times, because everybody's going to be in at the same period here. You can see a new set of boots being prepared in the background for what I think is Narain Karthikeyan's car. Yes, it is, number 1, the development car. The cars themselves, Formula 2000 cars, are built effectively on a Dallara chassis by JA Motorsport, the Indian motorsport company. Single-seater Formula 2-litre Mountune engines, carbon chassis, as you see Chia Wing Hoon walking away. 16-valve 4-cylinder engine, 2-litre, as I say, 230 brake horsepower. MRF tyres for everybody, and this is the reason why we have the stoppage. So too fast out of the last corner, round goes Chia Wing Hoon and into the wall very hard indeed. Damage to the front left, damage to the rear left, and the car slithers along the guardrail, bringing out eventually a red flag. So the session is a temporary hiatus. You can see there quite clearly the damage done. Now there's another free practice session at the end of the day, but the question mark would be whether or not the car even gets out for that. So meantime, down in the pit road, teams receive their drivers. 32, Presley Martino, and 28 is the other car being pushed back there of Pavan Ragishankar, Singaporean. It is a truly international lineup that we have in this championship, and the recovery vehicle is on its way just out of shot in order to pick up Hung's car. You'll see, there it is, hoving into view. That is quite an impressive recovery vehicle, isn't it? So it was a solo effort really from Hung. He spun on his own. There was one car behind him, but it certainly wasn't contact. But there is the scene in the pit lane.
It's off already. Yeah.
Presley Martineau it is talking to his engineer, Dan Tipton, there in the background. And the officials now get ready to remove Chia Wing Hoon's car from out of harm's way. Not yet seen Harrison Newey, but he is the man coming here second in the championship, 184 points against the 211 of Joey Mawson. So Harry Newey has got some ground to make up. He had one retirement in Bahrain, one in Dubai, which have gone against him. Harrison Newey, 3 poles, 4 wins, 4 fastest laps. He's had an impressive season, but Joey Mawson has been very, very consistent indeed. I think I'm right in saying that he's the only man to have been in the points in every race this year. Joey Mawson, the Australian, who's had only 1 pole and only 2 wins and 2 fastest laps, but by dint of scoring and scoring well, and others having their problems. Mick Schumacher, for example, had a coming together in Dubai, and then he had a puncture in another race. But he finds himself on the back foot because of those non-finishes. So Chia Wing Hoon's car is out of harm's way, or at least the car is, and the man himself, having trudged down the pit lane, has got some explaining to do. So let's go to Louise Beckett, who has got Chia Wing Hoon down in the pit lane. And as I say, Louise, he's got some explaining to do. He's all yours.
Chia Wing Hong has come back to the pits. What happened out there?
I spun in the last corner, pushed it a bit too hard too early on. It was just the second lap, or I think first lap maybe, coming out from the out lap. But yeah, just it was a bit dirty to track, so yeah, just spun, made a mistake really. And it was quite a, well, it seems like a fairly hard one because I hit straight into the barrier, so a bit unfortunate for me, I guess.
First of all, though, you're okay?
Yeah, perfectly fine. The car is very safe. Yeah, so, yeah.
The team have got quite a bit of work to do then before the next practice session.
Yeah, quite a bit, unfortunately.
You're going to owe them a big thank you, aren't you?
Definitely.
Thanks very much. Glad you're right.
Yeah, so Chia Wing Hong walks away. He is okay, the car rather less so, and whether it can be repaired for the end of the day remains to be seen, really. Now, the damage to the car front and rear left corners, so it's quite a job, but they should have the parts to do it. So the session getting ready to restart. Over what duration, I can't tell you, because still the countdown hasn't started and none of the lap times from earlier on being posted for some strange reason. 99 with the engine cover off there, which is the Estonian driver Ralph Aaron. Now, Ralph is somebody else that's been in and out of the championship this season. He was in Bahrain, he missed Dubai, came back for Delhi. He was a race winner in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, and he was 7th in the series, but he was the 2015 Italian F4 champion. He was also a race winner in the German series, so he's a quick driver, Ralph Aaron. Don't underestimate him. And as 28 is rolled to the pit apron, Pavan Ravishankar, the team's now waiting for the green flag. The klaxon is sounded, and are we in business? We are, as everybody now heads down the pit road, headed out by number 78, which is Yoshiaki Katayama, who I think I'm right in saying was the man on track behind Hong when he had his moment. So he ventures out. Number 1 goes through shot, which is Naren Karthikeyan. Where would Indian motor racing be without him? Mainstay of the sport, not just at home, but also spreading the word abroad. And there, Dan Tipton, who I think we're going to talk about a lot this weekend, ventures down the pit road as well. So despite being on his toes, ready to go, Ravishankar being held. So we're back in business. What would we have lost? 5-6 minutes maybe, not more out of that. So hiatus. I think what they're trying to do with Pavan Ravishankar is send him out late. So he's not going to get caught up in traffic. He can go out last, yes, and then if he needs to buy himself some clear track space, he can just back off, and hopefully not get caught up in all of the rest of the entry. There he is on his own then, heading out on track. Working his way now up towards turn 2. He has been driving in the AFR series for Formula Renault style cars this year, and was 4th in the championship. There is Chiu Wing Hong's crumpled car, so it's back in the pit lane. In a moment you'll see the repair job that Louise was touching on with the Malaysian driver Chiu Wing Hong. Now Joey Mawson, meantime, championship leader. There he is, number 96, accelerating his way towards the start of a flying lap. You see the perils of getting caught up in traffic there. Number 12, which is the American Neil Verhagen, who's also part of the Red Bull Junior programme. He will go into Formula Renault Euro Cup for this year, for next season. He goes through in the traffic. Joey Mawson then, the Antipodean, the Sydney sider, goes through turn 1. So this year's German F4 champion runs a little bit wide, and a big lock up there, scrabbling up the inside in the traffic. 32 gets away with that, but Presley Martineau, the Indonesian driver, has a bit of a lock up. Everybody trying to get clear track space. The last thing you need is to get caught up in any traffic, because that's just going to delay you. So as they work their way now up towards the international circuit, as it were, Martineau backs out of it. Joey Mawson goes through. It's a more powerful type of single-seater from that Joey is used to from F4, where they've run the 1400 Turner Abarth engines, but it is still, of course, a single-seater with slicks and wings. It's got the same aero feel, perhaps, that you might anticipate. So as the cars blast on, Joey Mawson brakes late and slithers into the corner. There was a big lock-up. Mawson here, you can see, absolutely committed, way wide there, running up onto the curb and onto the dirt, and now powering his way through this infield section, hard on the brakes. The danger is, though, he's going to get caught up in traffic here, so traffic management is key. Road climbs uphill, and we've got now times being displayed, and we've got just under 18 minutes of the session remaining, so a lot's happened thus far. 83 goes over the timing line there, which is Manuel Maldonado, cousin of ex-F1 racer Pastor Maldonado. Narain Karthikeyan in the development car is the fastest. Now, irrespective of where he qualifies, he starts on the pit lane. Joey Mawson second quickest. And getting caught up in the traffic and running way wide there. Joey Mawson tried to wriggle his way through, and a rather apologetic wave there. So sorry, I know I dive bombed you and I got it all wrong, didn't I? Here it is in replay. So he charges up the inside, runs out of road, off the circuit, scrabbles back on again, picks up a load of litter on his tyres as well in doing that, and in so doing gets in the way once again of Neil Verhagen, to whom I think he was trying to apologise. So Joey Mawson, proof that he's pressing on. But now let's see how this next lap pans out for him, because the tyres are going to need cleaning. There is Neil Verhagen, new to the championship for this weekend, so he's another driver that was going to draw attention to himself. I suspect he comes with a very good pedigree, that is for sure. And it's his birthday tomorrow, incidentally, Saturday. He will turn 16. He started off, along with his brother Alex, in indoor karting, and then moved into karting proper, as you might say, from 2011. Car racing beckoned with the Skip Barber Winter Series, and he won the first 3 races of that in his maiden season. Last year he raced in Formula 1600 and Formula 2000 in the States, and then in 2016 was the Formula 1600 champion. He then won the SCCA Majors Tour Northeast Conference, and on the back of that won the SCCA National Championship runoffs as well, the youngest ever winner at 15 years and 242 days. So Verhagen, who will go to MP Motorsport for the Formula Renault Euro Cup for Red Bull Junior team this year. A man to watch this weekend. Big sideways moment from Dan Ticktum. Behind him is Mick Schumacher, who is second fastest now. You might call the best of the real ones, and off the road has gone Ticktum. I say that in the context of Schumacher because Narain Karthikeyan's slightly different spec car is still the quickest, and Toby Sowery is third. Circuit becoming ever more dirty as people run wide and drag the marbles back on again. There is the replay of Dan Ticktum really overcooking it, coming out of turn 2, brings out the yellow flag as he runs way wide. heads back towards the tarmac, and you see all the dirt and the litter that's brought with him. Jüri Vips, 5th fastest, the Estonian driver. Now his best lap, a 33.3. If you take Karthikeyan out of the equation, the best of the current spec cars is Mick Schumacher's 132.313. Vips up towards the timing line. He's another driver that's gone strongly in the ADAC F4 Championship over the last couple of seasons and was 6th in it last season. He was also 5th with a race win in the Italian Championship. So Jüri Vips doing lots and lots of mileage, that's for sure. 16 cars showed on the timing screen, Chia Wing Hung being the slowest of them with his 1:44.802 before it all went sour for him. Now Toby Sowery, former champion, and that's Mawson off the road again, and at the same place. He outbraked himself there a couple of laps back. That was an even more spectacular off, and again, look, he's in the way of Verhagen as he gets back onto the road. So Joey Mawson is having a torrid time in this session. He's 4th fastest. The order is Karthikeyan, Schumacher, Sowery, and Joey Mawson arrives too quickly, turns in, gets sideways, runs out of road. And look behind him, Neil Verhagen, who I suspect had judged his pace against Mawson, also ends up in a bit of strife, scrabbles his way into turn 3. So Karthikeyan, it is the fastest by 1.2 seconds now. 2nd fastest, Mick Schumacher. Toby Sowery, as I was saying, former champion, is 3rd. Joey Mawson 4th, Jüri Vips 5th. Now, Harrison Newey, we've not yet touched on really, but he's in the pit lane, and it's only 9th fastest in this session as Joey Mawson again runs a little bit wide coming out of turn 7. Jüri Vips has just improved to go 4th fastest. Joey Mawson heading up towards the end of the lap, 5th fastest, and there is Harry Newey in the pit lane. Now, adjustments continue, and Harry Newey stays on board. But this is the beauty of free practice. You can make the changes now rather than lose out in qualifying and lose the mileage. So Harrison Newey, who came from the BRDC's F4 Championship as was, and then had a go into the FIA Formula 3 Championship this last year. He was the only driver in the most recent round in Delhi to use a new set of tyres for the final race, which stood him in good stead by keeping a set fresh. And you've got 5 sets of tyres to manage over the course of the weekend, so keeping a fresh set for the last race, always beneficial. And let's see what the tactic is of not just Harrison Newey, but also other drivers over the course of the weekend. Jüri Vips, 4th fastest. Now Vips sideways as he presses on. Harry Newey is going to be released, I think, in a moment, so he will venture back into the session. And what can Vips do? Because Jüri, as I said last time, got faster. He improved to 4th and goes quicker again, but stays 4th. 132.544. And 44 Jüri Vips then with 11 minutes and change on the clock. Chases after Toby Sowery as now Joey Mawson goes 2nd fastest. You're looking at Jüri Vips, who's just dropped to 5th, because Joey Mawson that time got everything absolutely right, strung it all together nicely, and goes 2nd fastest. He's a second down on Narain Karthikeyan, who as a guest driver doesn't score points, but Mawson and Schumacher, the top 2 of those in the current spec cars here. Harry Newey only 10th, work to do, and Dan Tipton 11th. How is Verhagen getting on in all of this? He's 9th actually, doing pretty well. Ralph Aaron, who has been a race winner, is 8th. There is Neil Verhagen in number 12, working his way up towards the midpoint of the lap. And Verhagen runs out of road, slithers off back onto the circuit, and Neil Verhagen's lap last time was a personal best. This time, I'm afraid, it's going to be a much, much slower one. It's interesting, isn't it, to see drivers continuing to have incidents. There is a rather frustrated Chia Wing Hung looking on as the repair work is already underway, but drivers continue to push, continue to make mistakes, and at different places. It's not all at turn 2. You're seeing cars run off the road to other parts of the lap as well. Over the timing line goes number 3, which is Dylan Young. Now, he's not doing too badly here, actually. Dylan Young, who is 28 years of age, the Australian, started late, really. He's a 17-year-old in karting. Went through Formula BMW Pacific for the Motor World team, the British team, then has been a regular in this part of the world through the JK Racing Asia Series and then in the MRF Challenge for a number of years. The aim for 2017 is GP3. So he's applied his trade, learned his craft, and the best that he's had this season, a 6th and a 5th in Dubai. He's been a regular in the top 10, but never any yet threatening for a podium, I'm afraid. So Dylan Young, the man from Melbourne, currently to be found 7th fastest, getting quite strongly. We've got 9 more minutes on the clock, so gradually the session ticks down. Joey Mawson coming here as the championship leader. It's not relevant yet, but it will be tomorrow. You get 2 points for the fastest time in qualifying. So with the championship to be decided this weekend, there's more importance placed on the qualifying session tomorrow than we've had potentially at Bahrain, Dubai or in Delhi, the BIC. Road climbs uphill then. Over the brow comes Dylan Young, down to the final corner on the lap. Now blasts his way over the timing line, that lap being another improvement, a 132.967, but he's 8th fastest now because Harrison Newey, back out and circulating, is up to 5th fastest, 132.533. Live timing being studied down in the pit road. And another spinner, and that is Pavan Ravishankar, who's got it wrong. Ravishankar was a long way down anyway, 14th fastest, but I'm afraid that will not have helped his quest either. 7 minutes and change and counting. Riding the curbs behind him, number 11, Felipe Drugovich, and he's somebody else that we've not really touched on much in the course of the session, but he was a winner in Dubai, former karter. Raced in both Europe and Brazil in karting, and then came into F4 in the German Championship for the Neuhauser team, and has been a race winner in this championship in Dubai already this year. This season, F4 for Fritz van Amersfoort's team beckons for him. For Drugovich, number 99 is Ralph Aaron, as I mentioned earlier on, a race winner and a Formula 4 champion, but a race winner in Formula 3 this year. And the news from the pits, we understand, is that Chia Wing Hung's team not confident, not optimistic of getting the car ready for FP2. We've got another improvement coming from Dan Ticktum into the top 10. It's not to suggest that Chia Wing Hung's team are going to give up on this and get the beers open. They're going to keep working, but the clock may well beat them. Unless, of course, there's a big delay in another session that will buy them some more time. But the big drama is that Chia Wing Hung loses out on very important track time here. So this lap for Ralph Aaron looking good. His best yet is a 133.4 and he's 9th fastest. You might anticipate really that he would be doing better than that because he's a quick driver, is Ralph Aaron. Working his way then now up towards the end of the lap. Through he will come. A number of drivers also now bailing for the pit lane. The pit's getting a bit busier. There's not much run-off on the outside of that final corner, but there's enough to catch out the unwary, as was evinced earlier by Chia Wing Hung. Through and sideways into turn 1 goes Ralph Aaron. That lap was a personal best, a 133.054. Little good did it do him because he stays 9th. Next improver is Dylan Young, and there is Neil Verhagen in the pit lane. Remember, we'd seen him off the road a little while ago. Number 4 is Harry Newey. Now he's 5th fastest, and the man chasing Joey Mawson in the championship and running out of road at turn 2. If they do this in the races, like they're doing it in free practice, the order is going to become very jumbled as a result of people's indiscretions. Harry Newey then squanders the lap by that moment, not only because it costs him time, but also because he picks up all the detritus on the rubber. And now he has to thread his way through the infield at the back of the circuit, try and clean the tyres, ready for another shot at this. There's the replay of it. Too much speed carried into turn 2. Can't turn in, runs out wide. The runoff area does its job, of course, but it just loses the driver all that momentum. Narain Karthikeyan, who is the fastest, has pitted. He's done a 1:31.085 now as the best lap of the session. And you've got Yuri Vips in the pit lane, and Neil Verhagen is in as well, as we covered. And I think I'm right in saying that Toby Sowery, the other guest, former champion, is in the pit road as well. But there is former Grand Prix racer Narain Karthikeyan, who came to the UK to race in Formula Ford, 1993, 94, and has been a mainstay of single-seater racing ever since. Number 9, Dan Ticktum, still pushing on, 10th quickest. Ticktum, you get the feeling he's going to be one that gets better and better and better every time out as he learns a little bit more. Came into the FIA Formula 3 European Championship at Hockenheim in October. Did the BRDC F3 Autumn Trophy, did Macau, and now the MRF Challenge, all in readiness for Formula Renault for next season, or this season coming, I should say, now 2017. That's where Red Bull has elected to place him. Ticktum pushes on. A little bit of oversteer there. The back almost gets round on him. He's got the road to himself, so is this going to be an improvement for him? We're into the final 3 minutes of the session, in fact, now. So for Dan Ticktum, and off the road again, a second drama, Pavan Ravichanka. Mick Schumacher darts around him. That was at turn 1, so Ravichanka tries somewhere else. Most people have been getting it wrong in that area at turn 2, but he does it at turn 1. Gets it wrong coming out of the first corner. And that wide expanse of runoff there all around the circuit to catch out the unwary. Ticktum then over the brow. At certain parts, it's like a rally stage because there's dust being kicked up from underneath the cars, and that's affecting the grip levels that the drivers suddenly find or don't find. Ticktum goes over the timing line and does a 1:32.975, goes up to 9th fastest. The disappointment of this session really has been Ralph Aaron, because he is the one now dropping down to 10th. So he's got a bit of work to do come the second session at the end of the afternoon, or indeed qualifying in the morning. 78 being pushed away, Yoshiaki Katayama, Japanese driver. His work here is done, because I think with only 2.5 minutes on the clock, he won't get back out to do a timed lap. So Katayama is done for the session effectively. And there may well be a problem with that, because the engineers all peering in. Katayama will tell them how the car feels, but then can they improve it? Mick Schumacher, meantime, he's down to 4th, he's up to 3rd, he goes ahead of Harrison Newey on a 1:32.057. Mick Schumacher 3rd fastest now. So the German driver hunting down his F4 adversary, Joey Mawson. Harrison Newey, who did race also in the German Championship for a time before moving up a year ahead of the others to Formula 3. He's the man behind them in the times now, 3rd of the current spec cars. And Narain Karthikeyan, as the guest, still tops the times by 0.8 of a second. Big slide for Mick Schumacher, but he gets away with that. Joey Mawson is the man behind him on track, in fact, so a good chance now to compare them and contrast the two. Schumacher threads his way through the infield, bouncing it a little bit up on the curb there. Through the long right, and then bears left on his way back towards the start and finish area. Down that back straight effectively before the next wriggle. Goes right, goes left. And Schumacher again here with the road to himself, looking strong. He's going to squeeze, I would propose, one more lap out of this as well, looking at the clock. So there's less than a lap time left in the session. But for Mick Schumacher, he should be able to start one before the flag comes out. Another improvement has come from Presley Martono, who is now 13th fastest. But Schumacher will get through and do another lap over the timing line now. What does that do for him? It's slightly slower, 32.063, so 6 thousandths of a second he lost out by there. So Mick Schumacher, number 25, onto his last lap of the session. Joey Mawson behind, also went slower by 6 tenths of a second. And the flag is imminent, 2 seconds, 1 second, out it goes. Session's at an end, so the drivers will complete the lap they're on, and then that will be it. 83 was the first driver to take the flag, in fact, Manuel Maldonado, who did not improve on his last lap. Narain Karthikeyan went back out, not an improver. Toby Sowery likewise. So as the session reaches its close, improvements few and far between. Joey Mawson then, having failed to improve last time, drops now to third because Harrison Newey on his last lap as he took the flag up to second fastest, a 1:31.799, Harrison Newey. So it's Mawson and Schumacher still to take the flag. Here comes Schumacher. And as he comes over the timing line now, he goes third, ahead of Mawson, 1:31.813. So he's only 14 thousandths shy of Harrison Newey. And Joey Mawson has not taken the flag. Does that mean he's pitted, or has he had a moment? He's not been shown as having gone over the line. He does so now in the pit lane, that's why. So Narain Karthikeyan ends the session as the fastest, but of the current generation cars, Harry Newey, the fastest from Mick Schumacher and then Joey Mawson. Toby Sowery, 5th overall. He's another of the guests in another of the development chassis from Felipe Drugovich, Dylan Young, Yuri Vips, Dan Ticktum, 9th overall, and Ralph Aaron rounding out the top 10. So the championship leader, and there he is, Joey Mawson, is 4th fastest at the end of the session. Harrison Newey being the fastest of those, there he is, in the current spec car. Son of renowned F1 aerodynamicist and in fact quick racer himself, Adrian Newey. And Harry Newey is coming down the pit road now. Behind him is Yuri Vips. And so they have a second free practice session at the end of the afternoon that may or may not run with Chia Wing Hung. It rather depends on the state of the car really after the dramas of this morning. There is 99, which is Ralph Aaron. A bit frustrated, I would have thought, with that. So there you can see Joey Mawson's car. And the man himself is in the pit bunker, I think, taking off his crash helmet. And in a moment, once he's got his breath back, we'll be able to have a word with the 2016 German F4 champion, the ADAC F4 champion, and the man that comes here as championship leader for this final MRF Challenge weekend. So he's in there somewhere. Mum gets out of the way, and Joey, as I say, in a moment will step forward and we'll have a word with the championship leader. What's a crucial weekend for the man from Australia. So you can just see Joey, now that he's finished talking to the engineers, getting ready. And Louise is there to have a word with Joey Mawson.
Well, Joey Mawson, first time in Chennai and first time out on that track. Not bad.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was really enjoyable session, I have to say. The tracks are really difficult, but nothing like I've ever driven before. Very bumpy and very dirty, but yeah, no, so far so good.
It seems to be suiting you. You're getting to grips with it very quickly. How do you train yourself to do that?
Yeah, obviously watching a lot of onboards. Yeah, I guess for a driver we have a nice bit of study, onboards and data. So yeah, we just analyse that in the week up to the event, and then yeah, go from there.
Saw you on a track walk last night. We were out on a track circuit walk as well. It was getting pretty dark, wasn't it? Yeah,
no, it was. Unfortunately, went for a track walk late, but yeah, other than that, interesting track, I must say. I'm really enjoying it here in Chennai so far.
Thank you. See you later.
So, a good job by Joey Mawson, fourth fastest, learning about the circuit. And let's see come the end of the afternoon how he stands after another session. So as the tyre pressures are checked and engineers stride away, let's have a look at how things stand at the end of free practice 1. Ignore the fact that Narain Karthikeyan was the fastest on track because his is a different spec car, so it gives you Harrison Newey in real terms as the quickest, ahead of Mick Schumacher and Joey Mawson, the three fighting for the championship, ahead of Felipe Drugovich and Dylan Young rounding out the top 5. But a great session then for Harry Newey. He's the man that tops the times. Admittedly, it is a modest margin of, what, 14 thousandths over Mick Schumacher. But the Brit it is who is the fastest. And Harry Newey, who has got a bit of work to do in the championship, has started the weekend in the best form. He's outpaced Mick Schumacher, and the pair of them have outpaced the championship leader, Joey Mawson. So let's try and hear from Harry Newey. He's with Louise.
Well, fastest in that session was Harry Newey. How was that?
Yeah, no, that was all right. You know, tough track, fun little track to drive. Really enjoy it here. Did last year as well. But yeah, no, came out of it okay. Made a couple of mistakes, so I didn't get a lap together. But in the end, it was all good.
Is the pressure on this weekend?
Yeah, for sure. But I think the pressure's on for everyone. So I think it's who deals with the pressure best, not who has the most pressure.
Nice words. Thanks, Harry.
So yeah, thank you.
So good job done by Harry Newey as he walked away to go and have a look at the data and get himself ready for the second practice period later on in the day. Let's have a look at some of the best bits of that session, which began with the cars pouring out on track and a number of people exploring the outer limits, that is for sure. Mick Schumacher was one of those quick to begin with. The German driver, another of those fighting for the championship, and things could well change over the course of 4 races this weekend. Among those in strife, though, early on, Chia Wing Hung, who ran out of road coming through turn 2, and worse was to come a little bit later on in the session. Dan Ticktum had a wobble up onto the curb coming out of the last corner. He got away with it. Less fortunate, though, was that man Hung, who lost it big time, clattered into the barrier, did front and rear damage, and that brought out a red flag. Joey Mawson, championship leader, got it wrong at turn 2, tried to work his way bravely through the traffic and oh so nearly came unstuck. He wasn't the only one, however, because a little bit later in the session, Felipe Drugovich was another driver who got it wrong. And more was to come. Turn 2 being the bogey corner. Joey Mawson had a very spectacular off all on his own. Neil Verhagen in the background, having measured his pace against the Australians, nearly came unstuck as well. Verhagen himself had a moment at the very back part of the circuit, rally crossing his way back onto the road. 11th come the end of the session, the American driver. And then Harry Newey was another man in strife as he went rally crossing coming out of turn 2. He too got away with it, but in the end was the fastest of those in the current generation car. Mick Schumacher improving right at the very end on his last lap to get himself second behind Newey, and Joey Mawson, championship leader, being dumped down to third, giving himself a job to do when we get round to the second free practice session at the end of the day. 1 or 2 elected to pit towards the end and see if there's any chance of last-minute adjustments, but in the end, Harry Newey, the fastest, and we'll see what happens in free practice 2 here later on in the day. Bye for now.